All right, here. Mr. G here, live again on a very beautiful Thursday afternoon. So nice. The sun is finally up and the sky is blue. I feel like I'm on a different planet today. How's everyone else doing today? I know the big news came down today. And I'm not surprised about the news, but I am still shocked. It's hard for me that I won't be able to see my students, at least face to face, for the remainder of the school year. And that really sucks. And as I'm sure you all have your questions about what does this mean? How is the education of my student going to continue going forward? I don't have those answers quite yet. We at Laura Havlin are all supposed to meet in the next few days, and we are going to come up with what we feel would be the best plan for us going forward. I would say those of you that are on Dojo, that's where I'm probably going to be posting a lot of stuff going forward. Is I'm going to continue using Class Dojo, and that is probably going to be my main pipeline, if you will, of lesson ideas and activities that I'm going to do going forward. I would also say that my read-alouds are going to continue here on YouTube because YouTube seems to be the best platform to do it, considering that it's very stable for live streaming purposes. When I find out more, families, I will definitely give you that information, as I'm sure Mrs. Van Black will also be reaching out with how we're going to tackle this online distance learning, distance teaching, distance learning. It is definitely going to look a lot different than what it would be in my own classroom if I had everybody in the room. And it's probably going to look different student to student because all you guys are very and have very unique needs, and I'm going to try to meet them to the best of my abilities based on now that we're reduced to doing everything online. So I'm going to be learning as we go along through this process. So I'm going to ask families, be patient with me as I try to navigate what is the best way to bring this material, just as I will promise to always be patient with you guys, because I know all of you have very unique circumstances of your own of what's going to work best for you guys. I think that's why it's imperative about doing that survey that I sent out. If you haven't shared your responses with me or Ms. Feather, please do so. That way we could be able to take that information now, and I could take that to the team at Laura Havlin as to how we can create the best version of what this is going to look like based on the needs and circumstances of all the families. So thank you to those of you that have done so. That will definitely help guide our conversations as a team. And once we find out more, I'm sure Mrs. Van Black will make an announcement, make the phone calls. I, of course, will reach out to you guys also on Dojo. So thank you for those of you that are on Dojo. Most of you are. If you haven't joined Dojo yet, please let me know. I can resend the invitation for you guys to join there because I think, like I said at the top, that's where I'm going to go going forward with instruction. And as soon as we get that worked out, I'll let you guys know, because we're still not sure what a start date is going to be, how long it'll be for throughout the day. Again, it's probably going to be different case by case. But now that I got that out of the way, let's read more Spy Ski School, shall we? So let's see, to kind of pick up where we left off, I read 2 chapters yesterday. Our group landed in Vail, Colorado after a very long flight in economy class to Denver and then a bus ride to Vail. Our heroes are staying at a kind of a very rundown ski hotel. It's not close to the ski where you would ski. It's away from the main resort, so it's not as nice. Ben and Erica kind of dragged Ben to where the Shanks are staying at their big hotel that they rented out just for them and their security staff to do some surveillance. Ben caught sight of Jessica Shang, and, well, he obviously liked her. And, of course, Erica said, "Oh, my goodness, you've already fallen for her already, and you've only seen her for 5 seconds." Which prompted Erica to decide, I'm not going to wait for the team to do the surveillance. I'm not going to wait for you to, for the tomorrow to try to befriend Jessica during the ski school lesson. I'm going to create a diversion, have you put on a pair of skates, shove you out on an ice rink, and you take out a whole bunch of people, distract all the security of the Shanks that are surveilling the area, and I'm going to scale the building up to the 5th floor and go break into their suite and do some snooping. Unfortunately, it worked perfectly. Erica was able to get to the balcony of the Shang suite. However, somebody in the shadows on the roof dropped in on her and knocked her unconscious. We are unsure who that is. We're not sure if Erica's okay. Ben, of course, is still stuck on the ground, and he watched it happen. And we're going to pick up with Chapter 5, titled Punishment. So we're still at the Lion's Head Village. It is in Vail, Colorado. It is currently 5 o'clock in the evening on December 26th. There was only one person that I could trust in this situation, Cyrus Hale. Unfortunately, he wasn't answering his phone. This wasn't really surprising. Cyrus hated cellular phones. He also hated computers, email, and pretty much any technology that was invented over the last 30 years. "Takes all the sport out of spying," he'd often grumbled. "In the good old days, we didn't need cell phones. If we got into trouble, we didn't call for backup. We just knocked a few heads together and ran like hell." I tried Jawa next. He answered on the second ring. "Hey, Ben, where are you?" "In Lion's Head Village. Do you know where Cyrus is?" "Back at the motel, I think. But I'm not sure. We're all out at McDonald's." "Who's we?" "Everyone. Even Alexander?" "Yes, we were all starving. Did you want us to grab you something?" "No, thanks. I've got to go." I yanked off the ice skates, pulled my shoes back on, and raced back to Ski House as fast as I could. It wasn't that far away, only a few blocks, through Lion's Head, then across the pedestrian bridge over the highway. But it took longer than usual for me to cover the distance. So it turned out that running at high altitude before you fully acclimatized was really difficult. In fact, it can make you sick. I puked 3 times, twice in the village and once over the railing of the pedestrian bridge. On the last one, I painted a minivan on the highway below me. Ugh, I'd hate to be the driver of that minivan. I ignored the pain and the nausea and kept on going, though. Erica's life now depended on it. I staggered through the parking lot of the ski house, my stomach cramping, my lungs on fire, pounded on the door to the room that Cyrus had shared with Alexander. "Cyrus, are you there? It's an emergency." I heard footsteps from inside, then the door opened a crack and Cyrus peeked out, looking annoyed. Erica's been captured, I told him. I know, he said. We were at the Arabella, I began, and then realized what he just said. You know? How? Because I'm the one who captured her. Cyrus opened the door a little bit more, allowing me to see Erica sprawled out on his bed. Then he yanked me inside and locked the door behind us. Now that I was in the room, I could see he was still wearing the black outfit. Erica was slowly waking up, groggy from being unconscious. Why did you capture your own granddaughter? I asked. To keep her from getting captured by Shang? Cyrus said. I wasn't going to get captured, Erica told him, already awake enough to be annoyed. Well, you were darn close, Cyrus shot back angrily. That stunt you pulled was reckless and insubordinate. I am extremely disappointed in you. Erica cringed. But I thought, no, Cyrus said curtly. You didn't think at all, because if you had, you would have followed my orders and done things the way that I told you to. Instead, you decided to disobey me and the entire CIA and do things your own way. My way was working, Erica exclaimed. I could hear Liu Shang and his men talking inside the room. They were discussing their plans. I might have learned everything we needed to know if you hadn't interfered. You would have been caught if I hadn't interfered, Cyrus yelled. He put his fingers a millimeter apart. You were this close to getting busted, which would have torpedoed this entire operation. You're doggone lucky I was there doing recon myself and was able to bail you out. How did you get back here so quickly? I asked Cyrus, trying to change the subject before things got even further out of hand. I mean, you beat me here, even though you were carrying Erica. And you had to get down off the hotel first. I had a grappling hook at the hotel, Cyrus explained. I dropped down on the far side while you were taking your skates off. Then I beat you here because, well, he flexed an arm, displaying his bulging muscles. I'm in much better shape than you are. I sighed. I've been hearing that a lot lately. Erica sat up now on the bed, pulling her phone out of her pocket. By the way, she told her grandfather, I recorded a tiny bit of Shang's conversation I overheard. I would have gotten more if you hadn't knocked me unconscious. Me, your own granddaughter. I did that for your own good, Cyrus told her. It was the only way to get you out of there quickly. I couldn't risk starting an argument out there on the balcony or having you struggle against me. Maybe you should listen to this before you start accusing me of being reckless again, Erica said, then pressed play. The conversation wasn't easy to hear, as Erica had recorded it through the glass door, and it was impossible for me to understand since it was in Chinese. Cyrus apparently knew the language, though. Despite his annoyance with Erica, he still listened to the recording intently. Two men were talking, sometimes at once. They seemed to be having a heated discussion about something. There were the few times when Erica's shh cut into the conversation. That was for Ben, she explained to her grandfather. He wouldn't stop talking. Only because the people you shoved me into were angry at me, I pointed out. And then I was trying to warn you that you were about to be attacked. Shh, Cyrus hissed at me, trying to listen. On the recording, I heard a new voice. It was stern and commanding, and the other two people stopped speaking immediately to listen to it. Liu Shang, Erica mouthed to me. Leo continued a bit longer, but he was cut off by Erica asking me, what part of shh do you not understand? And then there was the sound of Erica being knocked unconscious. After that, Liu Shang's voice faded away as Cyrus spirited Erica off. What did he say? I asked. I want a helicopter tomorrow, Erica translated, then gave Cyrus a hard stare. Obviously, he was planning some sort of aerial reconnaissance. Or he just wants to go helicopter skiing, Cyrus replied, unimpressed. What's that? I asked. Skiers can have a helicopter take them out into the wilderness for the day, Cyrus explained. No lift lanes, plenty of untracked snow. It's quite popular with those who can afford it. It's not all Shang said, Erica went on. He also said if all goes well, everything is on track for the 13th. You think he's planning Operation Golden Fist for that day? I asked. Seems pretty obvious, Erica replied. Only I don't have any idea of what Operation Golden Fist is because someone knocked me unconscious before I could hear about it. She then glared at her grandfather. If Cyrus felt bad for this, he didn't show it. Instead, he returned Erica's glare. For all we know, he was making further ski plans. The whole point of this mission is to find out what Shang is plotting, Erica growled. Based on your intel, that he is plotting something, and now you're telling me that he's not plotting anything at all, that he is simply here to go skiing? All I'm saying, Cyrus growled back, is that you're jumping to conclusions based upon an insufficient amount of information. Well, I would have had a lot more information if it had been for you, Erica yelled. It was the first time that I had heard her raise her voice in my life. Use that tone with me again, Cyrus warned, and you're grounded. Erica lowered her voice but remained impertinent. What are you going to do? Send me to my room? Worse, I'll boot you off of this mission. Erica's eyes widened in surprise. You wouldn't. This mission would be a disaster without me. It almost was. It was almost a disaster tonight because of you, Cyrus retorted. Ben's the primary agent on this. He's the one who's crucial here, not you. That's a mistake, Erica said coldly. He's not ready for this. He's already showed feelings for Jessica Shang. Cyrus reeled on me, concerned. Suddenly, the frigid room seemed like it was 100 degrees. I could feel my face turning red in embarrassment. That's not true, I stammered. I've barely even seen her. I just thought she was cute, is all. Ben gets flummoxed around girls he's attracted to, Erica told Cyrus. I do not, I said. You got flummoxed around me, Erica pointed out. That's because you're always doing things like shoving me into a crowded ice rink to create a diversion for you without telling me first, I shot back. Erica started to say something, but Cyrus held up his hand, silencing her. He kept his gaze locked on me, though, carefully assessing me. Finally, he said, There's another reason we selected Ben as the primary agent on this mission, Erica. He is a team player. He follows orders. He works well with others. He doesn't go running off on half-cocked at any time and ideas into his head. Now, you might have tons more raw talent than he does, but you could still learn something from him. He turned back to face her. And if you pull one more stunt like you did today, I'll deactivate you and ship you home faster than you could say Jackrabbit. Erica didn't say anything in response. She just gave Cyrus a stare so cold that it seemed to lower the temperature around us. Right at this moment, Alexander Hale returned. He banged through the door, whistling happily, completely failed to pick up the tension in the room. Great news, he cried, holding up a grocery bag. I've got everything. Cyrus squinted at him crankily. Now, where the heck do you expect to do that? The fireplace in the lobby, Alexander suggested. The fire in the lobby is a fake, Cyrus informed him. Boy, your observation skills stink on ice. That's right, Erica told Cyrus tartly. Everyone in the family's a lousy spy except you, and no matter how hard we try, we all apparently are never to be good enough. And with that, she stormed out of the room and slammed the door behind her. A cheap framed ski poster fell off the wall and busted on the floor. Cyrus rolled his eyes and muttered, Teenagers. Alexander glared at him, still smarting from his insult. See if I ever buy you campfire treats again, he said, and then he stormed out himself. Somehow, with them gone, there was even more tension in the room. Cyrus was prickly on his best days, but now he seemed ready to blow. I edged toward the door, desperate to get out of there and hoping he might simply ignore me and let me go. He didn't. His angry gaze now fell on me. I should probably be going too, I said, as cheerfully as I could. I've got a big day tomorrow with a mission and all, so I want to turn in early and get a good night's sleep. Do you have the hots for Jessica Shang? Cyrus shot back accusingly. No! I lied, selling it as hard as I could. I don't even think she's that attractive. In fact, to be honest, she's kind of ugly. I actually feel sorry for her. Cyrus didn't buy this for a moment. Erica may have made a lot of mistakes tonight, he told me, but she was right about one thing. If you want to succeed on this mission, you need to keep your heart out of it. Once you let your emotions get involved, it's trouble, and I don't want any trouble. Is that understood? Yes, sir, I said. You're dismissed. I slipped out the door as fast as I could. The parking lot had filled up with cars of returning skiers, but Erica was nowhere to be seen. Neither were any of my fellow spies in training. As I passed the lobby, though, I could hear Alexander speaking to the guy who ran the hotel. I understand the fire's electric, and it still generates heat, right? I promise not to get any melted marshmallow on it, and I'm happy to share. I headed back through the frigid night to my room, worried about the mission. I was afraid I really did have a crush on Jessica Shang, and that Erica was right, that it would compromise my abilities. I was also concerned that I might fail to befriend Jessica at all, dooming our operation. I feared that Erica might go off and do something dangerous on her own, just to prove she was right and get herself in trouble. The only thing I knew for sure was that things had gotten off to an extremely rocky start. And if they continued like this, Operation Snowbuddy was going to be a catastrophe. Well, thank goodness that wasn't a spider agent, and it wasn't one of Shang's security that got Erica. Definitely the operation's a little rocky at the start, isn't it? Chapter 6, Connection. Shoes Ski Rental, Lionshead Village, Vail, Colorado. It is now the next day. It's December 27th, and it's 8:30 in the morning. According to the OSP's Manual of Practical Undercover Work, there are 4 steps to proper acquisition of information, Zoe said, trying to cram her foot into a ski boot. What are they? Introduction, ingratiation, inquisition, and deflection, I rattled off. Meaning, introduction is making the first connection with the target. Ingratiation is making them want to be friends with you. Inquisition is subtly getting them to tell you what you need to know. And deflection is convincing them that have never done any inquisition at all. Zoe beamed at me. That's exactly right. At normal school, kids quizzed each other before their exams to make sure they were prepared. We were prepping for our mission the exact same way, only instead of algebra or Shakespeare, we were reviewing the finer points of espionage, and the penalty for failure wasn't an F, it was death. Posthumously. So I was a bit more nervous than I had been before tests back at my normal school. Zoe and I were at the ski rental, getting our equipment before beginning our mission. Erica, Chip, Jawa, and Warren were also there, but we had lost sight of them. The room was a sea of people. The week between Christmas and New Year's was the busiest of the ski season, and everyone appeared to have shown up at once. Our fellow renters stood in long, snaking lines waiting for equipment, or clogged the benches trying on said equipment. All around Zoe and me, people were desperately trying to wrestle their ski boots on. Many were losing the battle. I managed to wedge my feet into mine, but it had taken 5 minutes to figure out how exactly to do it. As far as the mission was concerned, we were on our own. Cyrus and Alexander were busy tailing Leo Shang, who was helicopter skiing. His caravan of car tanks had left the Arabella a half hour earlier. Cyrus and Alexander had followed in a rental car, while Hank had remained at the ski house to coordinate the mission with CIA headquarters. That left the rest of us without any adult supervision for the day, which was both liberating and daunting. The harried rental room employee who had given us our boots stopped by to check on us. He was a young guy with a tan line where his ski goggles normally would have been, making him look kind of like a reverse raccoon. How do those boots feel? He asked. Way too tight, I replied, like they're two sizes too small. Perfect, the guy said. That's exactly how you want them to feel. Really? I asked skeptically. They're pretty painful. Takes a little getting used to, the guy told me. You want them nice and snug, though. Before I could protest anymore, there was a clatter as Warren had knocked over a dozen sets of rental skis across the room. Nuts, said the rental guy and ran off. Snug, I muttered, trying to wiggle my toes inside my boots. When I failed to get Jessica Shang to give me the info, maybe we could just use some ski boots and torture it out of her. I probably wasn't supposed to say things like that out loud, but the room was so packed and it was like being in a train station at rush hour. I could barely hear myself over the other voices. Zoe gave me a hard stare. What's wrong? My feet hurt. Besides that, you said when I fail, not if I fail. Did I? Yes. You're not going to fail, Ben. You know your stuff backward and forward. You haven't gotten one of my quiz questions wrong all morning. I sighed. That doesn't necessarily mean I'll succeed. There's a big difference of knowing what I'm supposed to do and actually being able to do it. You've succeeded against the enemy before. This time is different. Why? I hesitated for a moment, then owned up to it. There wasn't much point keeping secrets at spy school. Everyone would find out soon enough. This time I'm supposed to get a girl to like me. I don't know if I can do that. Zoe then giggled. What's so funny, I decided. You are. You're actually worried about getting a girl to like you? Last time you went on a mission, a bad girl totally fell for you. What was her name? Ashley Spritz? Ashley Sparks, I corrected. And she didn't fall for me. She only liked me as a friend, which didn't mean anything because there hadn't been anyone else for her to hang out for the past year. She would have made friends with a baked potato. You're an idiot, Zoe told me. She totally liked you. Liked you. She invited you to go to Disney World with her, for Pete's sakes. You don't invite someone to go to Disney World with you unless you're really into them. Not necessarily, I said. I'd go I'd go to Disney World with you, but that doesn't mean that I'm into you. Zoe stopped smiling, like I just said something wrong. Come on, she said coldly. Let's go get our skis. Then she clomped away in her ski boots. Wait up, I called, then tried to run after her. Running in ski boots is even more difficult than I expected. In addition to being exceptionally tight, the boots were also heavy and oddly balanced. I got exactly one step and then pitched forward and landed on top of two small children, knocking them flat. Just my luck. It turned out to be the same family I had wiped out on the ice rink the day before. You again, the father snarled while his kids were starting to cry. God, Ben is just not having good luck, is he? He's lucky that this dad didn't pound him the previous night. Several other adults glared at me accusingly. Behind them all, I caught a glimpse of Chip and Jawa laughing hysterically. No habla inglés, I said to the father, and then I hurried off before he could pound me, doing my best not to crush any other preschoolers. I found Zoe at the ski counter, trying to act like she didn't know me in front of everyone else. I'm sure if this was because she was angry at me or embarrassed to be seen with me after I just made a scene. That was smooth, she said under her breath. I glanced around the rental area, examining all the other faces as carefully as I could. What are you looking for? Zoe asked. Jessica Shang. If she saw me wipe out like that, it'll be 100 times harder to win her over. Relax, Zoe told me. She's not here. And when you're as rich as Jessica Shang, you don't rent skis. Your daddy just buys you a pair. Heck, she probably has a different set for every day of the week. I got yours, by the way. She pointed to the pair leaning against the counter next to hers. They were slightly shorter than I was, chipped and scarred from the abuse of a few hundred previous renters, and they were a disturbing fluorescent green. Do you have anything less bright? I asked the girl behind the counter. You're lucky we have anything left in your size, period, she told me. Besides, you want bright skis as a beginner. It makes it easier to find again if you wipe out. You mean if he wipes out, Zoe corrected. No, I mean when, the ski girl said. You're beginners. You'll wipe out. In fact, you'll wipe out a lot. And you'll wipe out big. Everyone does. That's skiing. Take your boots off. Why? I asked. It just took me 5 minutes to get them on. I need to adjust the bindings on the skis. Our boots off. The ski girl adjusted our bindings, and then we had to go through the agony of forcing the boots back on. After that, yet another ski rental employee gave us poles and helmets, and then we finally emerged from the shop. If it had been hard to walk in ski boots to begin with, it was even harder to do while carrying a set of skis, which were extremely unwieldy. I felt like I might topple over at any moment. Chip and Jawa were waiting for us outside, examining their rental gear with disdain. I miss my real skis, Chip grumbled. This stuff is garbage. You're supposed to be a beginner, Zoe pointed out. Beginners don't have their own skis. I'll bet Jessica Shang does, Chip argued. We're not even supposed to know, Jawa hissed under his breath. So stop talking about her before she overhears us and you'll blow the whole mission. Jessica's not going to overhear you, Erica said. She seemingly appeared out of nowhere. It was something she did all the time, and yet I never have gotten used to it. There was nothing magical about it. Erica simply moved with such stealth and grace that you never saw her coming unless she wanted you to. What made it all the more impressive was that once I knew Erica was there, I found it almost impossible to take my eyes off of her again. Not only was she beautiful, but she had a way of making everything around her look good too. Even things that weren't attractive. For example, her rental equipment. The rest of us, with our dented helmets and ill-fitting ski clothes, looked like we had just been fired out of a cannon. Erica had the exact same stuff, but somehow it looked like she would be on the runway at Fashion Week. Why won't she hear us? Jawa asked, still keeping his voice low. Because she's way over at the ski school meeting area, Erica explained. Everyone looked that way. Don't you all look at once, Erica snapped. Everyone turned back to her at the same time, which was even less subtle. Try it again, Erica grumbled, although she didn't actually add, you idiots, but the tone of her voice indicated it was there. Only this time, do it one at a time and don't stare. Act like you're looking somewhere else. We all did our best to casually glance over toward the ski school meeting area at one at a time. It was across the snowy plaza and a little beyond the boarding area of the gondola. There were hundreds of other skiers in the plaza, but it wasn't hard to pick Jessica Shang out among them. She was the only one surrounded by bodyguards. There were 4 of them. They were doing their best to blend into the crowd, wearing ski clothes, doopy woolen hats, but it didn't work. They were all so big that they stuck out like islands in a sea of humanity around them. Each had a set of skis, the size of a small tree. The scary one with the blonde mullet was with them, his stringy hair poked out from below his hat behind his ears. I couldn't actually see Jessica. She was too short to make out in the crowd, but I could see the top of her pink ski helmet between all the guards and figured it had to be hers. We'd better get over there, Erica said. Lesson starts at 0900 hours. That's 9 o'clock for those of you that don't know military time. We will all approach the target separately. And remember, none of us are supposed to know each other, so don't act too familiar and blow our cover. Know what else might blow our cover? Chip asked, saying things like 0900 hours. The only people who talk like that are spies and guys in charge of launching rockets. Normal people just say 9 o'clock. Erica fixed him with a hard stare sharp enough to bore holes through him. I'm not a moron. When time comes, trust me, I'll be in character. Sure you can, Chip said dismissively. I was about to tell Chip to back off. I'd seen Erica in character before, and she was staggeringly good at it. But before I could, Warren walked out of the rental shop. Or at least he tried to walk out of it. The problem was he was carrying his skis sideways across the front of his body, the way one might carry firewood, which didn't work very well when trying to come through a doorway. The tips of his skis caught on both sides of the doorframe, stopping Warren so abruptly that he clotheslined himself and collapsed to the ground. Erica groaned in disgust and turned to me. Ben, you head over first. We'll all give you a little time to get to know Jessica solo. All right. I took a deep breath to gather my nerves. Zoe pulled me aside. One last quiz. What's the best way to establish rapport with a target? Find an area of common interest. Exactly. And that's already done for you. You're both beginner skiers. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Start with Dad and just be yourself. She'll like you. I promise. She gave me a big smile that actually made me believe her. If she'd truly been upset with me before, it seemed to have passed. I took another deep breath, grabbed my skis, and plunged into the crowd, stumbling through the mass of fellow skiers to the ski school meeting area. A dozen blue signs ringed it, each marked with the ages of kids who were supposed to be meet there. 5 and under, 6 to 7, 8 to 9. There was a surprisingly large crowd around the side marked skiers 12 to 15. Some seemed to have come with friends or had made friends quickly, while others looked kind of lost and lonely. Despite this, no one attempted to talk to Jessica Shang yet. The bodyguards surrounding her were too intimidating. Jessica stood in the center of the 4 big men, wearing a stylish ski outfit, and as Zoe predicted, was holding a brand new set of skis. She looked a bit self-conscious, like she was unhappy to be cut off from everyone else her age. I decided to play to that. I wandered up to the bodyguard with a mullet and asked, "Do you know if this is the area where ski school for ages 12 to 15 meets?" "What's the matter?" Blonde Mullet asked gruffly, nodding toward the blue sign. "Can't you read?" "Oh," I said, "I didn't see that there. Sorry, it's my first day." "Now you've seen it," Blonde Mullet said dismissively, "so go read it." He had a deep and imposing voice, but also a sing-song Scandinavian accent that made him sound ridiculous. I still cowed by him, though almost shrank away, but then I noticed Jessica. Although she hadn't said a word, she seemed upset at Blonde Mullet for trying to run me off so quickly. So I steeled myself and decided to ignore the bodyguard. I looked right at Jessica, as if Blonde Mullet hadn't even spoke to me, and asked, "Is it your first day too?" She gave me a shy smile. "It is." "I'm Ben," I said. "Ben Kuhlman." The name had been devised for me by a team of CIA analysts. I had been allowed to stick with my own first name so that I wouldn't forget it. And I had been given the name Kuhlman because, well, it had the word cool in it, which $1 million worth of CIA research said made me sound cooler. Jessica's smile widened, like she was thrilled that someone had actually braved her bodyguards. "I'm Jessica." I started to say it's nice to meet you, but I barely got through the first syllable before Blonde Mullet stepped between Jessica and me and pointing a finger the size of a kielbasa at my face. "I told you to go," he warned. "If you don't, I'll rip your arms off." I might have backed off right then and abandoned the mission after all. I liked having my arms attached to my body. If Jessica hadn't intervened, she stepped around the bodyguard and placed her hands on his and said, "Dane, there's no need for that." Her voice remained soft and sweet, but there was a firmness beneath it that unnerved the big man. Even though Jessica's hands had dwarfed his, he lowered it in obedience. "But," he began. "He's only a boy," Jessica said, "and he was just being friendly." She then turned to me, looking embarrassed about the whole ordeal. "Sorry about that." I glanced at blonde mullet Dane warily. Did I do something wrong? Not at all, Jessica replied. Dane overreacted. He wouldn't have really hurt you. I promise. He just acts like it's a tough. Just likes to act tough. If Dane was upset by this comment, he didn't show it. Instead, he kept his stony gaze fixed on me. He's good at it, I said. And to my surprise, Jessica giggled. Dane's gaze grew even stonier. The other bodyguards were acting like I wasn't even there. They were staring off in another direction, watching the crowd. With so many people around, keeping an eye out for potential threats was a big job. Where are you from, Ben? Jessica asked. Near Washington, D.C. The CIA advised me to use my real hometown rather than a false one, because I never really lived anywhere else and wouldn't be ready to fake it. I would have needed more research for that, and we hadn't had the time for it. How about you? I'm from Shanghai. I did my best to act surprised, like this was news to me. Shanghai, China? I asked. No, Shanghai, Nebraska, Jessica said sarcastically. However, she did it in an inoffensive way that made me laugh. Her sense of humor caught me pleasantly by surprise. Sorry, I said. It's just that, well, you speak English like someone who's actually from Nebraska. Actually, probably better than most people from Nebraska. Now Jessica laughed. Thanks. I ought to speak it well, though. My father taught it to me ever since I was a baby, though I've never had a chance to speak it to anyone from the United States before. No way, I said. Well, I got to say a few sentences to the customs agent at the airport, Jessica admitted, but other than that, you're my first. You're doing great, I said, genuinely impressed, and Jessica seemed pleased by the compliment. I thought about asking her about her father then and there, who he was and what he did, and so on, but decided against it. Kids don't usually ask other kids about their parents right off the bat, and I didn't want to make Jessica suspicious, or to make her think I was a weirdo. As it was, she seemed surprisingly happy to talk with me, so I figured I'd just go with it. So you came all the way here from Shanghai just to ski? I've always heard Colorado was the best, so here I am. Jessica looked around excitedly. I wonder how many different classes there'll be. Looks like there's a lot of kids our age here. Yeah, I agreed, taking the opportunity to look around as well. My fellow spies had all come along by now, blending in with the other kids and doing their best to look normal. Except for Warren. He had clonked several other people in the head with his skis. They're not supposed to put too many kids in each class, though. It'll be cool if we're in the same one. I turned to Jessica, unable to hide my shock that she had said this. Really? Of course, she replied shyly. You're the only person I know here. So it'd be nice to get to stay together. It would, I agreed, pleased at how well things were going. All right, kids, yelled a pretty blonde woman in a blue veil ski school outfit. Gather around. It's time to meet your instructors. Several other adults in matching blue outfits stood behind her. The blonde woman checked a clipboard and began to rattle off some names. Ben Coleman, Jessica Shang, Chip Stonehill, Zoe Kinzel, Warren Tinkleberry, and, oh boy, I know I'm going to mess this one up. Jawa Haralo, corrected Jawa, but you could call me Jawa. Jawa, right, said the blonde. You guys are with Sasha Rotko, are all in the class together. Erica stepped forward with the rest of us. She was Sasha Rotko, the only one of us the CIA trusted to be able to use a completely fake name. She once again shifted out of her normal personality, just as she had around the Arabella that day. Sasha Rotko was nothing like the normally cool, calm, and hyper-intelligent Erica Hale. Instead, she was an awkward, fatso gum-smacking ditz. Erica made everything about herself different, From the way she walked to the vacant look in her eyes and voice, which was now high and squeaky. If they gave Oscars for undercover work, Erica would have won it by a landslide. "Hey, Ben," she said to me. "We're in the same class. Super coolness." "You two know each other?" Jessica asked wearily. "Not really," Erica told her. "We just met at the pizza place yesterday. I was getting a slice and Ben was getting a slice. Both of us wanted to walk around town. So I was like, hey, let's walk around town together." And so we did. She was telling the story for the benefit of Dane, who had seen us together the other day. Despite how well Erica sold it, though, it was hard to tell if Dane was convinced. His stony gaze remained exactly the same, giving no indication of what was going on in his mind. I wish I could have said the same for my fellow students. Excuse me. None of them had ever seen Erica transform herself like this before, and they all did a lousy job of hiding their astonishment. Chip, who had been so dismissive of Erica's ability to act a few minutes earlier, now appeared completely dumbfounded by her performance. Luckily, before Jessica, Dane, or any of the other three bodyguards could notice this, the blonde ski woman had intervened. She waved us all over to her and said, "Okay, kids, your instructor's going to be Woodchuck." My friends, who had finally recovered from the shock of seeing Erica morph into Sasha, now struggled to hide their surprise at the identity of our instructor. Erica, of course, registered no surprise at all. Their reactions were subtle, though, so no one probably noticed. There was a good chance I showed some surprise myself, figuring it was unlikely that there were two people in the world who were actually went by the name Woodchuck. "Hello, future skiers!" A big voice boomed behind me. Sure enough, it was Woodchuck Wallace, the CIA's expert outdoorsman. Guys, if you guys recall, in the second book for Spy Camp, the lead instructor, his name was Woodchuck. This is the same guy. So he came back. Normally, Woodchuck ran our academy's summer facility for outdoor training, also known as Spy Camp. So I'd had never seen him in winter clothing before, or really much clothing at all. He had made most of his own clothes at camp, usually out of buckskin. So he looked a bit odd in a ski suit. But he was still the same burly, incredibly athletic, exceptionally confident guy, although he pretended that he didn't know us. "It's nice to meet all of you. I know it's only your first day, but I promise you, you'll be ready to learn. I'll have all of you blazing down this mountain in no time." All of my friends responded with enthusiasm, though Erica was the most enthusiastic. "Well, sounds great," she whooped. "Let's do this." Woodchuck grinned and pointed at her. "I like that spirit." He checked his roster and asked, "You're Sasha?" "That's right." Woodchuck then turned to the rest of us. "Take a lesson from Sasha, gang. Skiing is 10% physical ability and 90% attitude. If you want to do it, you can do it. So who's ready to ski?" All of us whooped excitedly now. We weren't faking. Woodchuck's energy was that infectious. "Excellent," Woodchuck cried. "Now, the ski school for kids is up at the top of the mountain. We've got an awesome setup there to teach you everything you need to know. So let's head over to the gondola right now and get to know each other on the way up." With that, he hoisted his skis onto his shoulder and led the way. The rest of us grabbed our skis as well. Dane, the bodyguard, reached for Jessica's, but she made a point of taking them herself. Warren managed to bonk three more innocent bystanders on the head while starting out. Fortunately, they were all wearing ski helmets, so no one got hurt. Jessica's bodyguards tried to stay around her as they walked, but she side-slipped them and dropped in next to me. "I'm excited that we get to be ski buddies," she said. "Yeah," I agreed. "Me too." Dane didn't seem too happy about this, though. Instead, he sized me up suspiciously, his gaze so cold that it made me shiver. "I'm excited to get out there and finally ski," Jessica went on. "This is going to be more fun than a bucket of weasels." Bucket of weasels? I repeated. Jessica frowned. Oh, shoot. I was going that wrong, didn't I? I always have trouble with your idioms. They're so strange. Understanding came to me. Oh, you mean more fun than a barrel of monkeys? Yes, that's it, Jessica agreed brightly. So, see what I mean? Honestly, would a barrel of monkeys be that much fun? No more than a bucket of weasels, I pointed out. No way. Have you ever been around monkeys? They smell and they throw poop at you. Are you two talking about monkeys? Erica asked, slipping in between us. I love monkeys. So cute, especially lemur monkeys. Jessica shot me a sideways, get a load of this airhead glance. There's no such thing as lemur monkeys, she said. There are lemurs, and there are monkeys. They're totally a different species. Erica shrugged, unfazed, and looked at me. Ben, you didn't tell me you had a friend here with you. Actually, Jessica and I just met this morning, I told her. Get out, Erica cried. Cause it seems like you two are total besties. I was getting this vibe that you'd known each other ever since you were kids or something. Jessica smiled, seeming to like something about this. We've only known each other for about 10 minutes. Seems more like 10 years. Erica whipped out her cell phone and stiff armed it to aim it back at us. Selfie time, she announced. Jessica and I obediently looked at the camera. No photos, Dane growled. Erica turned to Jessica, a perplexed look on her. Who's this guy? Your dad? My bodyguard, Jessica said, like it was embarrassing. Erica's eyes widened in fake shock. You have bodyguards? No way. Are you like famous? No, Jessica said. My dad's kind of important, so he thinks I need them. Who is he? Erica asked blatantly. Like an actor? Or a singer or something? No, he's only a businessman, Jessica replied in a way that indicated she didn't really want to talk about her father at all. Erica pretended not to sense this. What kind of business is he in? He's in the none of your business, Jessica said curtly. Erica screwed up her face in confusion, then faked a flash of understanding and burst into laughter. None of your business! You're funny, Jessica, really funny. We arrived at the gondola, which was kind of like a normal ski lift on steroids. Each gondola cabin was surprisingly large, the size of a small bathroom, and able to hold up to 9 people at a time. The cabins all dangled from a thick wire that would whisk you up the top of the mountain. A line of several hundred skiers waited for it, but as the ski students, we were allowed to cut. There were a separate entrance for us. Woodchuck waved us all through and then held up a hand to Jessica's bodyguards. Gentlemen, I believe the ski school made it clear that having all 4 of you along is unnecessary, as well as detrimental to providing Jessica with an optimal ski school experience. The bodyguards all frowned at this, but then nodded grudgingly. Dane stepped forward. I will be staying close to Jessica today, he announced. All right, Woodchuck said, looking up at him up and down. But you're so big, you're going to have to take up almost a whole cabin. He turned back to the rest of the class. We'll need to split up, gang. Jessica, you go with your bodyguard here, and Ben, Jessica suggested. Sure, Woodchuck agreed. You guys take one cabin. The rest of you come with me. And with that, we entered the loading area, and Woodchuck led the rest of the group into the waiting cabin. Zoe looked back at me and gave me a subtle thumbs up, indicating that I was doing a good job so far. I had to admit, it felt awfully good to be good about the way things were going. I couldn't believe Jessica had taken a shine to me so quickly. I still had a long way to go on my mission, but I apparently had taken care of the first 2 steps. Introduction and ingratiation, without any trouble at all. The next gondola cabin came along and the door slid open for us. Dane stepped inside first. As Woodchuck had suspected, he took up a good deal of the tiny room himself. A small bench wrapped around all 3 sides. Dane plopped himself down on it. Jessica and I sat across from him side by side. Jessica gave me an excited smile that made my heart start thumping so loudly I was worried she would hear it. How long are you here for? Jessica asked. A week, I replied. Me too, Jessica exclaimed. This is great. We're going to have so much fun together. I grinned at her, unable to believe my luck, and then, just like that, everything went wrong. Ben! A familiar voice yelled. Hey, Ben! Someone bolted from the front of the line for the gondola and slipped, showing up. Cover here. That's not a good thing. So again, if you guys have your predictions, please share them either here on the video in the comments, or you guys can message me on Dojo with your predictions of what's going to happen next. Like I said, I will try to message you guys either by tonight or early tomorrow morning as to when I will go live again. And as soon as I find out more about what our distance learning program is going to look like for us, I will share out that information with you families as soon as we get that firmed up. I just ask for your patience and understanding again, as this is new for everybody. Students haven't learned this way before, and teachers haven't had to teach this way before. It's all new. So as much as the students are learning how to use, if we go remote with technology, I'm going to have to learn how to use it too, as much as being able to be effectively to be able to teach with it. Dojo, like I said at the top, is definitely going to be a big part. So be sure to be connected to Dojo, where I will be able to post, messages about certain assignments and activities that I'll have you guys do. I would love to do something with, I know math, everybody is doing something different in my math class in the classroom. So everyone's math is going to look a little bit different. I think our read-alouds are going to be a big part of English language arts. I might ask you guys to do some responses to what you guys thought about the chapter, some things that you remember learning from the chapter, kind of like, to sum up what you heard. But again, until I get that firmed up, I'm not going to assign anything as of yet. But, I'll let you guys know when I will stream next. You guys, stay safe, stay healthy, keep checking Dojo. And when I learn more, I will share more. So stay safe, stay healthy. See you later, guys. Bye.